definitely.
Go ahead, Craig.
No, I was thinking the last time we actually stood by one another was Black Wall Street. It flourished.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Versus
Yeah.
Black, they literally burnt it to the ground because they were threatened by that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So many others. Black Wall Street, there's other places, man, cities and communities, Lake Lanier, you got Rosewood, they constantly do that. That's a pattern in their behaviors. They always burn down or break down or tear down or eradicate anything progressive that we build. Whether they nowadays is not in the sense of them burning it down physically, but now we got gentrification, that tear down those communities and all that. And so yeah, man, it's a constant pattern of what they do. It's repeated through history.
It seems like we allow it. I mean, you think about it. Haiti was what, one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
Wow.
Right. Up until the revolution.
Yeah. Yeah. That's even with our heart. I mean, with our art and our artifacts and all that stuff. We it's in history. They went over and took all of our stuff, stole it, and then tried to sell it back to us and claim it as theirs. We could have a conversation about Jesus as well. You know what I mean? Their depiction of Jesus looks completely different than what the Bible says.
What the Bible says, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or what history says geographically. So we know that's what they do, and that's what happens with our narratives too, especially with the media. Like they get a hold to it and they flip it and they make it theirs, or they paint it to be something what it's not, or they make negativity out of it. Media is very important and crucial, and if we don't pay attention and open our third eye, things will go over our head. It's media has been a tool, and that's why Marcus Garvey is so significant, because he used media as well, though, to push his agenda. But supremacists use media to tell narratives or to confuse us and put us in chaos. They've been doing it since we know. Even if you go back and you look at what Hitler did, with the Nazis back in his time, he started off with propaganda in the media to make people look at Jews or to hate Jews. And we know the supremacists did it here in our country. We had blackface, we had all these different stereotypes, Sambos and nitty pickies and all this stuff. They joked on us in cartoons and created all these different films. And so media is very important, man. And that's why I say, I just say we have to, when we see things that are wrong, we have to hold ourselves accountable and hold each other accountable for the things that are being done wrong.
Question: Civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like it's been hijacked?
Huh?
Do you feel it's been hijacked?
Do I feel as though the civil rights movement has been hijacked?
Correct.
I'd say the story is being spent for us to only know, not even us as in us. I'm talking about our kids. They want our kids to specifically know certain things about the civil rights movement or certain aspects of it. I think when it comes to Americanizing our civil rights movement, they soften it. They soften the image on it. They tell us what they want. Like, we know Martin Luther King to be turn the other cheek, soft. Turn the other cheek, soft. Hey, keep moving, keep taking the punches, the lashes. But we don't talk about often how Martin Luther King was close to going the other route, and it was leading up into. Matter of fact, I think by the time he got to Memphis, where he ultimately died, that's where his mind was. He was in Chicago, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be wrong, but I believe he was in Chicago, and there was a huge protest or boycott where he was doing in Chicago, and they just treated him so insanely, crazily, to where he shifted. He was like, "Man, this ain't working," So we shed lights on the things that, and it's just like, hey, you about to take me somewhere else, man. It's just like I say, to some degree, Christianity, right? I say certain things that they want us to know about Christianity to keep us conditioned to behave a certain way or to control us in a certain way. And I think that's the same thing with the civil rights movement in our schools. I would be interested to know now what they teach young Black kids about the civil rights movement, if they even teach them in full about it. But I think it's controlled to keep us controlled. I think our biggest problems too today is it's not even more so black and white, bro. I think it's more so it's business, it's consumers. I got to keep you at a certain social class for me to get wealthy and for me to to thrive and for me to conquer. The thing about them, that we don't know what they want to conquer. It's in their DNA to conquer something. I just want to have all the money in the world. See, I just want enough to survive.
Yeah.
I just want it all. Like I want the whole world. I want to go all across the seas and I want to conquer everything. I just want it all, so, but it's more so about social class today. I think the racial issues are, it's at this point, it's smoke and mirrors to what the true problem is, and I think it's definitely about class, and who our president is shows that in particular, and who he's bringing into in this cabinet, and who he's bringing on board to help shows that right there in our face. I think keeping it at a black and white mindset is keeping us back still in civil rights time. We in 2025. It's deeper and bigger than that.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this, man. I don't know if you saw my DM today. I'll comment on your story about the Karmelo Anthony thing.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Karmelo Anthony murdering Metcalf situation? What's your thoughts on that, man?
The actual him actually unaliving him, or
unaliving him.
Black people.
Both.
Okay. It's a sad case. First, most it's a sad case because you can only fathom what that young black boy is going through right now. Based off what he said, he was defending his life. He was protecting himself, right? We all have the right to do that. It's nothing unlawful about protecting yourself. Ethically, there's nothing wrong with you protecting yourself and defending yourself. And that was the case for him. The result was, he's now a part of the system, a system that we know don't care about no young black boy. Black men, and especially where he's in Texas, so it's a saddening case. But I do say this, I say there's nothing absolutely wrong with us supporting and helping and doing what we can. We know what the system does to young black boys, and 9 out of 10, the support that this young man needs from an attorney or a team, 9 out of 10, his family can't even afford that. So the help of us, and making sure that he has the best team is, nothing wrong. And he's innocent until proven guilty. You know what I mean? And until we know the full facts and we know the whole story, we can't point the finger nor judge. I'd say this is the time, though, we need to be advised on the way the social climate shifts, but also the market. I say there's always times like this where there's a civil disagreement with black and white, rather, and people come to this occasion to benefit and make money and to profit off of, and da 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 da. So we need to be more attentive on that and seeing, and really seeing what's going on. But it's a sad case. But also, hey, I'm gonna keep it real too, though, man. How many times have we been on the other side of that the other side of the case? You know what I mean? And it's been us that we're watching the funeral on live TV. You know what I mean? We're praying for the family because they lost their child, too. And so I just say, man, regardless, I can't say too much.
Right, let me say this. I'm playing devil's advocate, okay? So I feel like as a people, man, we support. We think everything got to deal with race. And this issue, I'm in law enforcement, so this issue, I don't see a race issue, right?
No.
What I see is an issue of we're catering to wrong. And what I mean by that is the kid brought a knife to school, first of all. You violate policy by bringing a weapon to school. You're not supposed to do that.
It wasn't in school, though.
It doesn't matter. It was on school property.
Is the track in school
track.
property?
Yeah. The track is school property.
School property.
So it doesn't matter. You brought a weapon on school property. That's strike one right there. You weren't supposed to do that. Number two, if you felt like your life was threatened, why do you go there? You could have been like, oh, I don't feel like doing such and such. First of all, he's not even an athlete. He was just there. He's not an athlete.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm positive. He wasn't an athlete.
All right, we're still working.
Number two, you felt like your life was threatened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you talk to a teacher? Why do you tell your parents? See, we come up with this no snitching culture. Don't call that. If somebody's messing with me, somebody's bothering me, I'm letting somebody know. So if it does get to that point, at least I got some type of trail. Hey, I told such and such. I told such and such. Nothing was done. Dude kept messing with me. I got to handle business. Number 3, from what I read, the Metcalf kid asked him, he was, you ever went to a racing event, racetrack? You know how every school got their own section.
Yeah.
So the kid was in his section, the Metcalf section. He doesn't even go to the school he doesn't even go to that same school that Metcalf go to.
Yeah.
They asked him to leave. And from what I read, he said, got to make me leave. So that's when they got in an argument. He pulled a knife out, stabbed him. So it's a right or wrong issue. It's not a race issue. If he did that to another black man, it still would have been wrong.
Right.
But here's the thing.
White on white, it still would have been wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. We're speaking off of whose perspective? Because we haven't heard his full testimony yet, and we got bits and pieces of what the media is telling us happened, and we're getting the side of the brother.
I don't care. He bought a weapon to school.
So what if the narrative shifted, right? Or what if when we learn the facts, it was maybe he was trying to leave, and the two brothers they just kept pushing him or hitting him or even threatening him in their own verbiage, going back and forth. And what if he truthfully was defending himself? What if he felt actually threatened for his life?
He bought a weapon in school.
Yeah, you can't take it.
Just by bringing that way. You came there looking for a situation.
Premeditated is what they can.
Yeah, right. I just say
that's my argument. Everything is not race. Some things are just. Oh no, hey man, he was wrong.
Yeah. And I say this: I didn't read all the police report, but I read some of the police report, and I read the some of the witness statements, and they're saying basically describing it the way Ernest basically described it. And I said, if you take away the race, you have 2 teenage boys that got into a fight, and both sides are trying to make their side look like the perfect angel, and the other side look like a perfect demon. But the reality is, both sides could have said and done something that could have de-escalated that whole situation.
Yeah,
but 2 teenage boys, they got the testosterone going.
But don't forget, we're talking about adolescents still. Their brain's not fully developed.
Yeah.
Where's the adults in the situation to prevent that from happening? You know what I mean? We know that kids don't have the mature mind to think or have better judgment in situations.
That's what I was saying, Samuel. Maybe he didn't tell them. Like, that's what he probably, if he told someone, I'm sure this probably would have been. Hopefully, if he told a teacher, a principal, a parent, hopefully this wouldn't have happened. But the way this culture is now, they believe in this no snitching thing, man. They want to handle things themselves.
Well, here's the thing: without a knife, this young man is not in jail. The other young man is not dead.
He could have squabbled.
Yeah.
They could have squabbled. That's how we used to do
it. Yeah. I mean, still though, I'm not going to conclude until there's actual factual.
And we get back to
the factual.
I'm always, me. Listen, with our people, is always you gotta prove it guilty before I'm gonna say you're guilty. And because, like I said, it's been too many times where we've been on the other end, and it's always been justified, it's always been right, So, but I do think it's outside of race, though. I think, like, just going back to my point of the media is utilizing this moment to make it about race. So that's my whole point. I didn't want people to say this is racist. It's just a right or wrong thing, man. That's all it is. His father even said, the Austin's father even said, it's not about race. Somebody just made a choice, a bad choice. Yeah.
Race is safety. That was sales, pretty much.
Yeah. He's going to sensationalize it.
Yeah.
That's what.
And I'll say this: I believe if you are accused of a crime, you should have the best defense.
Yeah, right.
I hope he gets $1 million plus for his defense, because the prosecution is going to open up the wallet to try to convict him. So
yeah. I mean, I'm more so worried about I'm just worried about the witnesses, and them being truthful in their testimonies.
Yeah.
Especially if I think because he was on their side, he was under that school's tent, and just going off of those students being connected to the gentleman who passed away, those testimonies can be completely different than probably what everyone is going to exaggerate. Or let me stop. There may be some sense of exaggeration, or just to say, hey, no, he was right. Because even when you look at the brother when he was doing the interview, you could tell there was something left out, because he said, yeah, we came up to him and just instantly, like, let's use our common sense.
Yeah.
I come up to a guy and I say, hey, you got to leave our tent. And he's just instantly aggressive. Like he's threatening and talking like, so that's number one. But then also, like he says, hey, Austin grabbed his book bag, and then the guy just, and then it was just blank from there. It was like, yeah, and then that happened. And so I just say, hopefully he has a great defense team that can call out and bring truthfulness in those testimonies, but also in the case as a whole.
And you're right. You're right. You gotta listen to the whole story, just like Craig nephew, young Scooter. When he first came out, he was shot by police. We found out a young lady was involved with a BS phone call.
Sad.
You said it turns out
I'm
sorry, Chris. My bad. I'm sorry. I was just trying to use that. I'm sorry.
You're right. I mean,
but I said this not too long ago. I think I did the interview, because we were talking about Trump and everything, and I was saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised that, because typically what happens, like with politics, when it goes like that and they already make it about race and all that craziness, there's always something that happens to where the people just jump on it, and because we look for a reason to go black and white. So after the Trump, you can't really say, they already shifted the social climate with the elections and all that stuff, and we were just waiting for the next moment. So now it happened. Now it's quick, like black, white.
Right.
And